Here we go. Another year, another trip around the sun. Happy birthday to me. Another opportunity to look back, to think back, and to reflect upon what I've learned over the past year, what I've forgotten, what I was reminded of. That may be the phrase or the quote or the line that I've said most this year, probably gotten the most mileage out of, or the most enjoyment out of, which is we need to be reminded more than we need to be instructed. I think that that's probably true. That being said, there is just a mountain of things that I don't even know exist, and a mountain of things that I'm aware that exist that I know nothing about, and this, that, and the other thing. So, if you're not familiar, for about the past 5 years or so, I've been borrowing from an old series from Esquire magazine called What I've Learned. And it's really wonderful. You can still find the archives. I'm not sure if they still run it or not. I don't even know if Esquire magazine is still a thing or not. Shout out or apologies to Esquire magazine. And it was a 1 or 2 page deal where people would just talk about what they learned over the course of their life. And really well done, really great. And I thought, well, that's a good, it's always a good thing to be thoughtful and to be reflective. And what a great opportunity to do that on one's birthday or the New Year's, whatever. I choose to do it on my birthday. So here we go. The 46th edition, the fifth or sixth edition of my 46th year. Anyway, what have I learned this year? What have I learned this year? And good news is some things I have, in fact, learned some things. So without further ado, let's just get started. I've learned I want it both hard and soft. So let me explain. Let me explain. I was listening to music as one does. We invited a robot into our home, and you could speak to it, and it's hooked up to a music streaming service, and so you can ask for whatever you want. Which, for somebody who's 46 years old, you have a deep appreciation for just the simplistic brilliance of that. You can ask for any song ever, and it'll just play it. And you can play it over and over again without having to rewind it or flip the tape or get a different CD. I was not around um, I can't even think about what they're called. What are those called before tape cassettes? Shoot. Well, somebody's going to have to let me know what those are called, or I'm going to look it up when I'm done here. But I was not there. Tapes were my first introduction. I had these cool Walkmen. So Walkmen were super cool, and then there were CD players, 8 tracks. That's what I was looking for. I was not in the 8 track generation. I came in with tapes, and if you wanted to listen to a song, you had to record it, or rather rewind or fast forward, make this cool noise. It would take forever, and you never knew exactly if you were there or not. And it was taxing on the batteries, this, that, and the other thing. So to be able to simply say into the air, so and so play this, and it happens, what an amazing thing. So I was listening to music as I was getting dinner ready or doing dishes or feeding children or something like that, and I wanted to listen to George Harrison. And so I said, hey, play George Harrison, and it comes on. I was thinking, I wonder if George was the lightest of all the Beatles. And I love I love all the Beatles music, but certainly I love John Lennon's, and I love Paul McCartney and this, that, and the other thing. But George Harrison's just, it's super light. He's a spiritual kind of a guy, and very light and positive and airy. So I don't know if you have thoughts on that. Is it fair to say that George is one of the lightest Beatles? But what it's important about this, it made me think, would I rather have my life be lighter, or would I rather have it be heavier? And I think that I'd rather have it be lighter, more airy, more ease, more joy. Because I think so much of our lives are so heavy. Such a staple and or feature of life is tough stuff. And I go out of my way to do difficult things as you do also. I go out of my way to lift heavy things, to push myself beyond what or wherever I currently am, to try to reach new levels, to find new territory, and that all requires effort. It requires discomfort. So that's been good. Had a background of athletics growing up, and certainly if you're trying to get good at something, that requires hard work and effort. Um, and my career started out in a client building endeavor, so always needing to go out and find new clients, and kind of this notion that you eat what you kill, and if you don't take on a new client, you're not going to make any money, you're going to be out of business, all of these things that I think are very, very natural. I think that they're very heavy, or rather, very human, very natural, very, very, very good, but very heavy nonetheless. So would I rather have my life be light or be heavy? It's just an interesting thing. So I think maybe continuing to strike the balance between a little bit of light and a little bit of heavy. So I don't know. I don't know. I certainly find meaning in responsibility. I know that that is an absolute truth about me. I like to be on the hook for things. I want to be somebody who is doing important work. And if that you're somebody who wants to be doing those kind of things, heaviness is going to follow. And I also know that I want to and need to be physically, mentally, emotionally strong enough to carry whatever God calls on me to carry. If God calls on me and asks me to carry something and I'm not strong enough to carry it, well, that's a failure in my mind. So So I guess I want it both ways. I've learned that I want both hard and I want soft. I want to have a good time and I'm here for the tough times too. I'm playful. I'm an intense person. Love having a good time. I really like having a good time. And I'm here to roll up my sleeves and dig or whatever work needs doing, whatever heavy thing needs carrying, I'm here for it. So that's the first thing. Next. I've learned that there's no good guys and there's no bad guys. There's just guys. There's guys and gals. There's no good gals or bad gals. They're just gals. And there's this wonderful quote from Alexander Solzhenitsyn. It says that the line separating good and evil passes not through states, nor between classes, nor between political parties either, but right through every human heart and through all human hearts. This line shifts inside us. It oscillates with the years. And even within hearts overwhelmed by evil, one small bridgehead of good is retained. So there you go. It's not hard. It's not easy. It's not soft. It's not hard. It's not good. It's not bad. It just is. So holy cow. Here's another one. I've learned that children from about 14 months old to roughly speaking 8 years old, they think I'm amazing and they think I'm a total fucking moron. It's incredible. Even the baby thinks I'm great. It's incredible to have a baby around. And she thinks I'm a moron too. She thinks that she can just sneak things right by me. She'll look at me knowing she's doing something wrong and just try to hustle past or whatever. It's hilarious. So kids from baby on to 8, and I'm sure that this is going to continue on until they're 60. They're going to think that I'm great and they're going to think that I'm a total idiot. So the baby thinking that she's got me snowed is the best one for sure. Just this little look on her face, like I got this dummy all figured out. And she probably does. That's maybe the funniest thing that I've learned. I've learned that I want to get better, to continually improve myself. I'm not I'm not at anywhere close to feeling like I am a finished product. I am interested in getting better. In fact, that is the animating force in my life is my desire to reach my fullest ultimate potential. And I think it is a really negative thing to stop striving, to stop trying to do that. My oldest kid, James, he is at the age where he's in school now and he's making a lot of the same mistakes that I made. Just go figure. So believe it or not, I have to talk to James about this. Say, believe it or not, being first isn't always the best thing. It's not always even a good thing. Sometimes it's even a bad thing. For example, when you're learning handwriting in school, you're learning handwriting. You remember the horizontal or the landscape oriented pictures or pieces of paper with the solid lines and then the dash lines where you are supposed to write uppercase and lowercase and just write out whatever is on the line above. Well, turns out, just like the old man, he was first done, first done. But as we know, that's not going to lend itself to good handwriting. So the result of behavior like that, trying to communicate with James, is that you will have the handwriting of a doctor without the benefits of being a doctor. You just have crappy handwriting. So you get the momentary pleasure, very fleeting, extremely finite pleasure of finishing first for tiny, minuscule amount of your life. And then for the rest of it, this massive amount, 100 years potentially, of having bad handwriting. That's called a tough trade-off right there. Really, really bad, crappy deal that I made with myself. And now James is trying to do that too. So, in service of trying to help him help himself, I'm trying to help him, just help him. And if he will pick up on it, the jury's still out on that one. I think that that'll really benefit him. So we bought these, went online and researched how to teach proper handwriting. And his teacher's wonderful also. She's a wonderful human being and made the encouragement or suggestions on some different ways to go about nipping this in the bud and getting in front of it so that we don't fall into the same trap his old man did. So we got these little tools that show you how to properly hold a pencil. And for you just listening, I have a tendency to put all 5 fingers on the writing utensil. And you're just supposed to use 3, middle, index, and thumb. So James, he actually is doing a better job with it. But I'm looking at these things, I'm like, oh, okay, why not? So obviously I'm 46 years old. And I'm like, okay, I'll teach myself how to write properly. So I've been doing it. I have been doing it. That's a pretty cool thing. I'll have to report back for age 47 if I've learned how to properly write. And maybe I've learned wonderful penmanship and lookout world then. So what's important is that I'm not afraid to learn new things, even though it is physically actually uncomfortable to hold a pen that way and takes longer this than the other thing. So what else? What else? What else? I have learned this year, I've learned that I've absolutely fallen in love and I've learned that I'm just like everybody else. Learned I'm just like everybody else. How is that possible, George? You seem to pride yourself on being not like everybody else, and it's true. But in this example, I am just like everybody else. I've fallen in love with the fastest growing sport in the world, maybe, well, in America at least, maybe the world. It's pickleball. I don't love being part of something trendy, but I have fallen in love with pickleball, and that's taught me a lot. So I have a background as a competitor and as a tennis player. I played tennis really competitively at a relatively high level for the majority of my youth and a couple of times as a grown-up. But here I am, January of this year, I picked up pickleball, and it is an incredible thing. It's allowed me to reignite my competitiveness, and specifically when it comes to being an athlete. It's been a joy to embrace being a beginner at this new game. Now I'm bringing into it a lot of the fundamentals that would take somebody a really long time to learn through tennis. I know a lot of it, but it's still a totally different game. different equipment, courts, and strategy and tactics and everything else. But it's been a joy to embrace being a beginner and to embrace starting at, for lack of a better term, just kind of the bottom and then figuring it all out and working my way up. Pickleball has also taught me that um, that it's possible to compete and to be active um, for as long as you want. I play pickleball with lots of wonderful people. It's been a wonderful experience being a part of a great community and hopefully adding to it a little bit. I play with a gentleman named Bernard. Shout out Bernard. I don't know if he listens to the show or not, but he's in his 80s. Bernard is in his 80s, and he is a beloved uh, person where I play pickleball, and he's a good player. That being said, Barnard enjoys playing with me because I chase down a lot of balls, and that's not where his strength lies. It's his ability to chase down balls. So we complement each other really well. Something's out of his reach, I'll do my best to get there. Now, I play pickleball quite a bit, and the most stressful times that I play are with Bernard because I don't want to let him down. I want him to leave the court a winner. And so it's really funny. I all the different scenarios. I'm most stressed out when I'm playing with Bernard because again, I don't want to let him down. So I've learned that you can compete for as long as you really want, barring any injuries or sickness or plenty of other things. But if you take care of your body, you can be active and stay active into your 80s and beyond, which is, I think, a super, super, super cool thing. But circling back on uh, embracing new learning, just being a beginner at pickleball is that. But something else is I'm changing the way that I am holding the paddle. And if you are somebody who has played tennis or racquetball or squash, some kind of a racket sport, pickleball, for a long time, or if you are a golfer, it's the equivalent of, so I'm changing the way I'm holding it, the grip on my forehand side. It's essentially the equivalent of changing how you swing a golf club, which is a big deal because you have muscle memory and you've been doing this thing thousands and thousands of tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of times I've hit forehands. And to change the way that I'm holding, in this example, a paddle is a big deal. So look at me, old dog, learning new tricks. We'll have to check back in a year or so on how all of that went, but so far so good. So embracing learning in a lot of different ways, and sports always teaches us. It always teaches us, but above and beyond anything else, it's fun. It's that light thing I was talking about. Very little about pickleball is heavy. It is just a pure joy. It's fun, except when I'm playing with Bernard, then it's a little stressful. But all kidding aside, it's a great thing. I've learned that restaurants have gotten a whole lot darker over the past year. I don't know if it's a byproduct of inflation, rising cost of electricity, and so restaurants are looking to lower costs by turning the light bulbs down a little bit or maybe reducing the number of light bulbs that are in the restaurant. But regardless of what it is, I cannot see the menu in those places. Couldn't possibly be that I'm older and old age is finally catching up with me because I can't see shit. Got my phone out, shining a light on the menu, and sometimes that'll work, but more often than not, my wife reads me the menu or whatever. So I've learned, yeah, that I have learned that. So learned a lot about that. I've also learned this year that I love cookies. I have always thought cookies were fine. They're fine. No, I love them. So take that for what it is. Not all of this has to be super heavy and complicated. Sometimes it's just you learn you love cookies at your middle point of your life. I've learned that I really love politics and the culture war, but that it's also toxic as hell, and I'm better served not paying too much attention to it or spending too much time on it. And I've also learned that not paying too close of attention to politics and the culture war probably lend itself to what's gotten ourselves into the pickle that we're in. I don't know what you think, but I look around and I see a lot of messes out there. So striking that balance, too hot, too cold, too hard, too soft, just right. That's what we're looking for. My belief on the solution, this is probably a little bit of a beyond the scope of our conversation today, but what I've learned from that is I've got to make myself as strong as I can be, all looping back. When I need to carry something heavy, I want to be able to do that. When I'm stressed out, I need to be able to manage that. So how can I make myself as strong as I can be physically, emotionally, mentally, financially, really in every area of my life? Again, tied to the heavy light thing from a little bit earlier. Something I learned in 2020 as my family was growing. My brother passed away that year and everything going on with COVID. I asked myself, is this the body that I want to take with me into the next stage of my life? And the answer for me at that time was no. And then I asked that question of myself for every aspect of my life. Just the perspective, the outlet, the mindset, physical nature of my bodies. Are these the things that I want to bring with me into the next stage of my life? And that's a question that you should be asking yourself, regardless of what stage of your life or what age you are or any of these things. Is this what you want to bring with you? So we get to choose that. I get to answer that question. For me, the answer was no. So I was asking them, I answered them, and I took action on it. So not that that's new learning, but going back to the whole politics thing, every single one of these things touches everything else. I mean, money touches every aspect of our lives, and my perspective and my outlook and my mindset touches every aspect of our lives. So important questions to both ask ourselves and to answer. I've learned that Russell Brand is an even more beautiful human being than I had originally thought. Well, I was aware of him because of he's an actor, he's in movies, he was married to Katy Perry, this, that, and the other thing, and he's just sort of a whimsical guy. And then I started to look into meditation, and he was one of the first people that just when I was Googling or YouTubing or whatever, searching on YouTube for how to meditate, Russell Brand came up, and it was his association, his relationship with Transcendental Meditation or TM. And it was a whole different side to him. I never knew, I didn't really know much about him at all. And then it was right around probably the same time that he was starting to use his voice for more than what he would describe as a vapid existence. That's what he would describe his time in Hollywood and chasing fame and fortune. If you're not familiar with Russell Brand, I highly encourage you to check him out. He is, a, without question, extremely high IQ, brilliant, well thought out, articulate person. And he talks so incredibly fast. It is a blur. In fact, I've seen him talk recently, and I can tell he is consciously trying to slow down his speech pattern. But it all goes to just how incredibly brilliant he is. He is brave enough. You listen to some of his podcasts that he will go and hit record and just work out things on the fly. So he's brave enough to have conversations with other really, really intelligent people and to challenge his own ideas and to challenge other people's ideas, not just come on and talk about things that he's already, not just come on and talk about ideas that are all fully baked and fully formed. So he's willing to do that. And, in a time where we have politicians and just people who are important in our culture not doing that at all, seemingly not being open to new ideas, not willing to discuss their ideas, not willing to share with us what their ideas even are. I think it's a really refreshing thing that you have people who are engaging in public discourse, in robust debate. So again, I didn't learn that, but it's a really important thing. So anyway, another thing about Russell Brand is that he converted to Christianity this year and didn't have that one on my bingo card whatsoever. And he's documented all of it. He's a public figure, public intellectual, and so we're fortunate enough to see behind the curtain and for him to share with us his thinking and his thought processes on all of these things and all of his experiences. And he put, I think it was on Instagram, this super profound statement. He said, when I accept that I don't change myself through endeavor, but that I'm changed by him, I experience great liberty and freedom. He was talking about his relationship with Jesus. When I accept that I don't change myself through endeavor, but that I'm changed by him, I experience great liberty and freedom. Whew, that's profound. It's particularly profound because of somebody like he, who has this massive intellect, who's got this massive stage and ability and probably resources that vast majority of human beings on planet Earth do not possess. That he has come to this conclusion, I think, is a pretty incredible thing. And it just all reminds me of something that I've actively been working on for years now, is that you have to let life come to you. You have to let things come to you. And that just never made any sense to me. And I figured out a year or so ago that my spirit animal is a beaver. And this is both fun and true, because it's funny to say my spirit animal is something and then be a beaver is, there's just lots of funny things about that. But the reason that is because beavers just do. They build dams. You could throw a beaver on Wall Street or Park Avenue. You could throw him on the roof of the Chrysler building, and he's going to build a dam. Or she. Don't mean to gender the beaver. The beaver's going to build a dam. It's going to be what it does. It does things. It builds dams. So I get that. I'm a doer of things, buddy. Get things done. My favorite quote was, in life, you are either the hammer or the anvil, meaning you either hit things or you get hit. And I was the anvil, and I still am. But trying to let things come to me, trying to soft, hard and soft again. That appears to be the theme of what I've learned this year, is that we want to do both of these things, hard and soft. So I'm trying to learn to be still, which is a reference to the practice of finding inner peace and calm amidst the busyness and distractions of our lives. It's about learning to be quiet with our minds, to be present in the moment, to embrace stillness physically and mentally, emotionally. So these are important things, but in a broader sense, it can also mean taking a big step back from the chaos of our daily lives that we all feel, we all experience, and reflecting on things. And I do fancy myself a thoughtful person, so I'm pretty close, but I'm working on it. Something that I don't know that I have no idea about what I've learned, what I've learned. Russell Brand talking about surrendering to God, surrendering to the universe. This is hard. This is hard. Probably ought to be soft, but it's hard because I don't know that I know how to do it. I'm trying to figure out how to do it. If you know how to do it, hit me up, please. Say, George, here's how you do it. Just gotta let go, man. Just let go. That sounds easy. Does super hard. It seems to me that it's one of those things that what got you here is going to get you to where you want to go. And I want to find, I want to become the highest and best version of myself. I want to realize my potential. I want to become an actualized person. I want to be as enlightened as I can be. I don't know that I'm ever going to realize or reach full enlightenment. Maybe the moment before I die, it'll all click for me. Better late than never, kind of a thing. But what got me here isn't going to get me to where I want to go. The hammer is going to get me where I want to go. And I don't think being the anvil is either. It's getting them to work together, maybe. The only way out is through. So I feel like I'm getting closer to it. But I'm working on it, working on it. And then just the other day, literally this week, I discovered amor fati. Amor fati. It's a Latin phrase meaning love of fate. Amor fati. It's a key concept in Nietzsche's philosophy, Nietzschean philosophy. What a smart gentleman he was. He applies this as a key concept, reflecting on how individuals should approach life challenges and suffering. It represented an attitude of complete acceptance and love for everything that happens in your life, including the difficult, including the painful, including the inevitable aspects of life. And that pretty much sums up my belief on life. So Russell Brand talking about surrendering, Nietzsche talking about embracing, accepting the good and the bad. It's a lot to chew on. This is what I'm chewing on. But I love that idea. If that's of interest to you, I can't encourage you enough to check it out. So it's AMOR, next word, FATI, Latin phrase. So I've learned it's prudent and wise to take other people's word for some things. I'm trying to take Russell Brand's word for it, trying to take Nietzsche's word for it, trying to take Solzhenitsyn's word for it. A lot of wisdom. Those two gentlemen that talked about for generation, for millennia, probably Russell Brand will as well. So many human beings have read the Bible, and I can honestly say I've never read it from cover to cover, but I will this year. So I bought this big, beautiful ESV study Bible this year. Gonna read it. How about that? Looking forward to it. So hopefully I'll be able to report back a year from today that I made it all the way through and all of the things that I learned because of it. I'm sure it'll be a 10-hour long podcast. I've learned that there's so much to learn. And when I say I've learned that, what I really mean, again, is that I've been reminded of it. So on the Venn diagram of what I know, what I think I know, what I don't know, and what I don't know that I don't know, that's worth knowing. I don't know if I got that right. There's a 0% chance that I could create a visual of that. I couldn't actually create the Venn diagram, but it's fun to say. On the Venn diagram, you understand, it's the intersecting circles deal. What matters is that you could still fill the ocean with shit that I don't know. And I embrace, I accept, I'm excited about it. I'm excited about finding out. I'm excited about exploring and continue to explore. I'm excited to do uncomfortable things. I'm excited to be softer. All of these things. I've learned I'm still angry at numbers. Always been. Me and numbers. Even though I work in finance, never really gotten along. The highest level of math I have achieved and completed was Algebra 2. That was in 10th grade. Your boy, not a math guy, not a numbers guy. Went to college. It's going to be a business major. Till I realized I had to take math courses. I'm sitting in the math course, and they are talking about things I have no fucking idea about. None. I'm like, well, this isn't going to work. I don't even think I stayed for the whole class. I just kind of closed the book, got out. Drop ad was a friend of mine. Changed my major. You know, it'd be better. Political science, a little sociology, a little communications. That's more up your boy's alley. Should have been an English major. Go figure. All right. So the whole thing about numbers, there was a point to this. There was a point to it. And I know that this isn't an exact science here, or correct even, but 45 years old, it's the same distance from 30 as it is from 60. Ooh, buddy, how's that? How's that for numbers? What they're doing things. Stupid numbers, just counting things. Same distance from 30 as it is from 60. Numbers are a funny thing. Finally, I've learned about the love that daughters have for their fathers. The past year since my daughter has been born, I've gotten more hugs from her than I've gotten over the course of 8 years with 2 boys. And it's an absolutely wonderful thing, like really wonderful. I don't know what that's taught me necessarily, but it is awesome. It is awesome. Wonderful hugs from any human being is a wonderful thing, but from a little baby, it is one of the most wonderful things that I've experienced. One more thing. I've learned that men love Me with long hair. Such a goofy thing. I've always sort of worn my hair a little longer, but right now, if you can't see me, I've got shoulder length hair. And I get guys come up to me and tell me I've had two guys in the last like 2 weeks refer to my hair as glorious, glorious even, which I think it's hilarious. I think it's an incredible thing. I'm grateful that I give off a vibe that says you can go ahead and tell me how much you like my hair, other man. I don't know that, and women have complimented me on my hair as well. It's nice to get compliments about anything. I just think it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. Some other dude gonna go out of his way to go up to another dude and tell him how glorious that one dude thinks the other dude's hair is. I think it's great. Nothing but a good thing. I'm here for all of it. So, um, yeah. To sum this up, to land the plane, it's another great year. What a time to be alive. I say that with my tongue in my cheek, but 100% honestly and seriously. What a time to be alive. What an opportunity that I have and that we all have. But since we're talking about me, what a wonderful opportunity that I have to keep learning, to keep improving, to keep pushing, to keep questioning, and to continue growing my hair. That is until my wife cuts it all off in my sleep. As always, do your part by doing your best, and happy birthday to me.